It all began on a sunny Saturday morning. The kind where people fight over shaded parking spots like pirates over treasure. I pulled into the mall's crowded lot. Just looking to grab groceries and maybe, if I felt adventurous, a cinnamon roll from the bakery inside. That's when I spotted Karen. Now, you could tell she was a Karen even before she opened her mouth. The designer sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. The perfectly ironed blouse that screamed, Suburban Commander, and of course, her Porsche Cayenne gleaming in the sun like it had never known dirt. She rolled down her window, waved her manicured hand, and declared, "You people need to understand something. Porsche drivers should get priority parking. It's common sense." The lot went quiet for a moment, like a director yelling, "Cut." On a set, a man with a grocery cart stopped mid-roll. A mom buckling in her toddler paused, mouth open. I, standing there with my shopping bag, blinked twice. "Priority parking?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," Karen huffed, tapping her steering wheel like a judge's gavel. "We pay more for our cars, we take better care of them, and we bring a certain prestige to places like this. Why should I have to squeeze into these tiny spots next to, well, Toyotas? The audacity of it all." She was suggesting her Porsche, which had probably never touched a gravel road, deserved its own VIP lounge. I almost laughed, but I knew better. This was a performance, and Karen thrived on audiences. So I leaned closer, pretending to give her argument some thought. The sun reflected off her car, nearly blinding me, which felt poetic. Finally, I said the line that would echo through the mall that day. "Karen, if you think Porsche drivers need priority parking, buy a dealership." The silence was broken by a snort from the man with the grocery cart. The mom buckling her toddler chuckled. Even a teenager filming on his phone muttered, "Savage." Karen's jaw tightened like a lid on a stubborn pickle jar. Her sunglasses slipped down her nose as she leaned forward. "Excuse me." "You heard me," I replied, smiling. "If you want your Porsche to come with perks, you might as well own the place that sells them. That way, you can give yourself all the priority parking spots you want. Heck, make the whole lot Porsche-only." The crowd chuckled. Karen's lips pursed so tightly I thought she might vanish into a vacuum. Instead, she revved her engine like she was challenging me to a duel. The Cayenne hummed, polished and perfect, while the rest of us stood with our average, dented, everyday cars. But deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. The next time I saw Karen wasn't in the mall lot. It was at the coffee shop across town. Same Porsche, same sunglasses, same commanding aura, like a queen on a caffeine hunt. I figured she'd forgotten about me. But the way her eyes narrowed as she recognized me made it clear. She remembered every syllable of "buy a dealership." She strutted inside, ordered the most complicated latte on the menu. And then, like destiny itself, ended up sitting at the table next to mine. She didn't waste a second. "You think you're clever, don't you?" she said, sipping her foam like it owed her rent. I raised an eyebrow. "I think I'm practical." That dealership idea was free advice. Karen leaned closer, lowering her voice like she was revealing classified intel. "You don't understand. Porsche drivers represent a different class. We have standards. We elevate the places we visit. If stores had any sense, they'd roll out carpets for us." I chuckled into my coffee. "Carpets? Should we all bow too?" Her lips curled into a smirk. "Mock me all you want, but I've already taken steps." I spoke to the mall's management. I told them they should create priority spaces for high-end vehicles. I called it an investment in their brand image. I nearly choked on my muffin. And what did they say? "They're considering it," she replied proudly. They even asked me to draft a proposal. The audacity was growing like ivy on an abandoned building. She wasn't just content with making outrageous claims, she was lobbying. "So let me get this straight," I said. "You want businesses to restructure their parking lots because you drive a Porsche?" "Yes," she replied, as though she had just solved world hunger. I leaned back, savoring the absurdity. "Karen, do you realize if every luxury driver demanded priority spots, We'd need 3 separate lots, one for Porsches, one for BMWs, and one for Teslas. Where does it end? It ends, she said dramatically, with order. No more scratches from cheap cars. No more squeezing between minivans. Civilization needs structure. Sounds more like segregation, I muttered. Her smirk widened. Call it what you want. But when I pull into a mall and see a "reserved for Porsche owners" sign, you'll wish you had taken me seriously. I couldn't help it. I laughed, loud enough that a few heads turned. Karen, if that day ever comes, I'll buy a used Porsche just to park crooked in that space. Her latte cup slammed down like a gavel. We'll see. And for the first time, I realized she wasn't just annoying. She was determined. A week later, curiosity dragged me back to the mall. I wasn't there for shopping, I wanted to see if Karen's wild campaign had sprouted legs. As soon as I entered the parking lot, my jaw nearly dropped. A banner flapped in the breeze, strung across the main entrance. Coming soon, priority parking for luxury vehicles. Karen had done it. Somehow, she had convinced mall management that this was a brilliant idea. A few cones marked off a section near the doors, and construction workers were painting shiny new signs. One already read, "Reserved, Porsche-only." I couldn't resist. I marched straight inside to customer service and asked for the manager. A weary-looking man with thinning hair came out, rubbing his temples like someone who regretted his career choices. "Let me guess," he sighed. "You're here about the Porsche spaces." "Yes," I replied. "How did she even?" He cut me off. "She came with charts. Actual charts. Graphs showing how luxury cars supposedly attract wealthier shoppers. She said giving Porsches priority would elevate the mall's profile." "And you bought that?" I asked. "She wouldn't leave my office," he muttered. "And honestly, after 3 hours, I just wanted her gone." I stifled a laugh. Karen, with enough persistence, could probably get the moon rezoned. But then I spotted her across the atrium, holding a clipboard like she was running for office. She was giving a tour to 2 mall executives, pointing out the cones as if they were monuments. I walked over, unable to resist. "So this is your empire?" I asked. Karen beamed. "It's only the beginning. Soon, we'll expand. BMW, Mercedes, Tesla, they'll all get their own zones. But Porsche, of course, will remain premier." "Premier?" I repeated. "Karen, this is a parking lot, not a country club." She flipped her clipboard with flair. "Perception is everything. When people see these spaces, they'll know this mall values class." I crossed my arms. "You know what's going to happen. Some guy in a rusty pickup is going to park diagonally across those spots just to spite you." Her eyes narrowed. "That's why I'm also proposing fines for violators. Heavy fines." "Fines?" I laughed. "What are you, the parking police?" "Think bigger," she said, stepping closer. "Imagine me managing this program across the city. Exclusive parking zones, branded by dealerships. Prestige at every curb." And that's when it clicked, she wasn't just after parking. Karen was building a movement. I shook my head, grinning. "Karen, you're not lobbying for cars, you're starting a class war in asphalt." Her smirk said it all. And honestly, I was starting to wonder if she might win. 2 weeks later, the luxury priority parking launch day arrived. Balloons, banners, and even a ribbon-cutting ceremony. It was absurd. Like the opening of a theme park but for asphalt. And there, standing proudly in front of the "Porsche-only" signs, was Karen, scissors in hand, ready to make history. Crowds gathered. Some were Porsche drivers, smugly polishing their cars. Others were just regular folks who had come to witness the spectacle. And me? I was there with popcorn, ready to watch chaos unfold. Karen cleared her throat, addressing the crowd like a politician. "Today, we usher in a new era of shopping convenience. An era where luxury is respected, where prestige is honored. And where Porsche drivers, leaders of style and sophistication, finally receive the priority they deserve. The applause was mixed. Some clapped politely, others rolled their eyes. A teenager shouted, "It's just a car, lady." But Karen pressed on. She cut the ribbon with dramatic flair. And the Porsche drivers wasted no time pulling into their gleaming new spaces. Cameras flashed. Karen posed like she'd just founded a nation. And then it happened. A rusty, dented minivan, its bumper held on by duct tape, rolled into the lot. The driver, an older man in a baseball cap, squinted at the new signs, shrugged, and parked squarely in the middle of two Porsche-only spots. He turned off the engine, grabbed his reusable grocery bags, and strolled away without a glance. The silence was deafening. Karen's jaw dropped. Her perfect vision of Porsche paradise shattered in an instant. "Sir," she screeched, running after him. "You can't park there. That's for Porsche drivers only." The men didn't even slow down. "Looks like a parking spot to me," he called back. The crowd erupted, some laughing, some cheering. A Tesla driver honked mockingly. Someone yelled, "Guess he bought the dealership." Karen spun toward me, eyes blazing. "This is sabotage." I grinned. "No, Karen. This is reality. You can build your Porsche palace, but you can't control the parking lot jungle." She stomped her foot, furious, while the crowd filmed every second. The image of her screaming next to that minivan would spread across social media like wildfire by nightfall. And as I walked away, popcorn in hand, I couldn't help but laugh. Because Karen was right about one thing: perception is everything. And today, the world saw her not as a visionary, but as the woman who lost a parking lot war to duct tape.